Okay, let's pick up where we left off. So we just talked about posting journal entries into the ledger accounts in the previous video. And now we're going to talk about the trial balance. And the trial balance is kind of the first part of the worksheet that we're going to be filling out with all these other statements on there. So the trial balance is the first part of this accounting worksheet. And let's get to it. Okay, so preparing a trial balance gives you the steps on how to prepare a trial balance. First, you're going to determine the balance of each account in the ledger. So as we're filling out the ledgers for each account, we're going to get the total balance. Enter the same amount in the same side, so whether it was a debit or credit, we're going to copy that over into the trial balance. Here's a note: when the standard account form is used, the balance of each account appears in the balance column. Okay, we're going to use, let me get this opened up here. Oops, not that one. Okay, so here's that same, the general ledger. So here's the start of the account worksheet, and we have our trial balance here. So you'll see that we have our accounts copied over from our chart of accounts. Okay, we got our account names copied over, the account numbers for each account copied over, and so then all we do is take the balance of each of our ledger accounts and copy that amount over onto the trial balance. So what the text was saying just then, if it was a debit amount, we copy it over into the debit side of this trial balance. If it is a credit balance, let's find our accounts payable. So this $1,500 credit balance for accounts payable would go on the credit side of our trial balance. So whichever the balance was recorded on for that account, that is the side you're going to put it on for the trial balance. Okay, then after you've recorded all the balances, you're going to add the debit column amount and then add the credit column amount. And when you compare the two totals under the debit and credit columns, they must be equal. That tells us that we recorded everything appropriately and our debits equal our credits and that we are good to go. So you'll see here on this trial balance, we have all of our debits totaled up here, equaling $10,500. All of our credits totaled up here equals $10,500. Our balance is equal. We are good to go. If the totals under debit and credit are not equal, it indicates that there was an error that has occurred in journalizing. So in one of the areas that we had been through, whether it was journalizing, posting, or moving those balances to the trial balance, there was an error somewhere. If our balances aren't the same, there was an error somewhere. So if that happens, then we have to go back through and identify the error and correct it before proceeding to the next step in the accounting cycle. So if we find an error, we got to go back, find it, and correct it. The trial balance does not provide complete proof of accuracy of the journal and ledger, but does indicate whether the debit and credits are equal or unequal. If they're unequal, there is an error somewhere that needs to be corrected. So there still could have been an error somewhere, but if our debits and credits are equal, that's the most important thing that we're going to be looking for. Okay, when it comes to identifying errors, errors can occur when journalizing or posting transactions. It might not be significant enough to affect management. For example, if you have a huge, big business that's worth millions of dollars and there's a few dollars error in recording, that would be insignificant and you wouldn't need to go in and make the correction. But when we're doing smaller businesses like what we are in this class, preparing a trial balance is the primary way to discover errors in the ledger. Okay, so if two balances are not equal, it may be due to one or more of the following errors below. So these are some typical errors that take place if your balances did not equal out. Then these could be some of your problems. Maybe you failure to record or post a transaction, so maybe you skipped one out of your journal when you were recording over to the ledger. Recording the same incorrect amount for the debit and the credit parts of the transaction, so maybe you recorded the wrong amount. Maybe you recorded the same transaction more than once, or maybe you posted a part of the transaction correctly as a debit or a credit, but then incorrect for the other account. So there's lots of different things that could cause errors. Here's another kind of chart of errors. If there are errors in the trial balance, commonly incorrectly added, an amount was incorrectly entered. If there was an error in the account balance, here's some stipulations. And so this is just kind of like a guide showing you what the different errors could be from. So I don't want to go over all of those, so make sure you read over it. Some ones that happen quite often would be the transposition and slide errors. This happens to me all the time. So a transposition error occurs when the order of the digits is mistakenly changed. So for example, an example of this could be to write 542 as 452 or 524. I do that all the time. Like I'll see the number 542, but then I'll write it down. I'll just get some digits mixed up, and that's going to obviously throw off your balances. In a slide error, the entire number is mistakenly moved one or more spaces to the right or left of the decimal point. So maybe the number should have been 542, but you recorded it as 5420 or 5420. So those are some really common errors when recording. When you're correcting errors, the procedures used to correct an error vary according to the nature of the error and the circumstances surrounding it. So we saw an example of an error in the journal in the previous unit, and it was instructed to just draw one line through it and write above it. That way we didn't show eraser marks and making it look like we're trying to illegally adjust our books for any reason. So by putting one line through the error and inserting the correct amount or title above that, that lets people know that there was an error and a correction was made. So for example, assume that on January 5th, a $10,500 purchase of office equipment was incorrectly journalized as a debit to supplies and as a credit to accounts. The incorrect posting is shown the following T accounts. So they incorrectly recorded it as this, okay? And the correct way to record it would have been this way. So comparing the two sets of T accounts indicates that the incorrect debit to supplies can be corrected by debiting office equipment for $10,500 and crediting supplies for $10,500. So the correcting entry is then journalized and posted. So what they're saying is if you already debited supplies incorrectly, you're going to have to go back in and then credit supplies and then debit your office equipment. And that's what they're showing you here. So you will need to make another journal entry showing that credit of supplies to kind of cancel out the first transaction that you incorrectly entered, and then debiting the correct account. Types of errors. Journal entry is incorrect but not posted. Journal entry is correct but posted incorrectly. So again, read through these. There's several types of errors that can throw off your trial balance. We'll do these practice activities together in our Class Connect session. Key terms that you'll need to know for your upcoming quizzes and exam: what the general ledger is, what we've been talking about this entire section. Posting is the process of recording to the appropriate part of the journal entry into the ledger account, from the journal to the ledger. And then the zero balance in the ledger. After all entries are posted, the balance is adjusted based on the debit and credit of each transaction. Sometimes a ledger account may not have any debit or credit balance after the adjustment. This is called a zero balance in a ledger account. Okay, assignment. I have it updated here for you. The template is available, and we will be going over this at our next Class Connect.